Good afternoon, guys. My name is Darshil Vaghela. He is, and his name is. So we are going to explain about elaborate training standard procedure with different responsibilities in food service permits. So he will carry on from here. Thank you.
So we're gonna start from personal hygiene because it's one of the most important things that every employer should take care about. Hi everybody. In order to maintain food and health standards, the personal hygiene is very important to save purity in kitchen, and best way to do it is to wash your hands properly. So the best way to wash your hands is to wet your hands with warm water, apply soap enough to cover all your hands, wrap your hands together for at least 20 seconds, and if you want, don't forget to clean your fingertips between finger and arms. Then rinse your hands with warm water at least 20 seconds and dry your hands with one single-use towel. So turn over the water with paper towel so you don't touch any of the stuff. So we are not able to see bacteria. A lot of them occur in our body because of lack of personal hygiene. So if you don't see it, it doesn't know they are not in our bodies. So we can have to wash our hands before starting work, during food preparation, when moving from food from one place to another, after using toilet, after sneezing, coughing, after smoking, after chewing gum or tobacco, after handling raw meats, poultry, or fish, after eating, after handling trash, and after handling money, and after any time hands may become contaminated.
Hello guys, my topic is saving food and handling toxic chemicals. So in order to prevent the foodborne units and cross-contaminations, we should make sure all kinds of food are served in a sanitary ways before customer enjoys. So the first step is we should use the hot water and mix the salt and clean and wash it about 20 seconds. And the second step is after we wash our hands, we should put a clean groceries on our hands before we prepare the food and serve it. The first step is we have to make sure all dishes and plates is clean before we contain these foods. If you find any dirty things on these plates or containers, we should report this event immediately to our boss and managers. Never touch inside of all kinds of container, even though you wear a grocery. The last step is use a clean respirators before you prepare the food, because the droplets can separate the harmful virus and bacteria in the air. Also, don't forget about last points. Don't use the same times of the circles, because if you use the second times of the growth, it will contain some tiny harmful things inside the growth, such as some dust, some hairs, maybe other things. So my second topic is handling the toxic chemicals. In order to prevent the foodborne use by chemicals contaminations. So the first step is check every toxic chemical for each day before we work. If you find any problem such as leakings or change color of these chemicals, or you smell very terrible about the chemicals, you have to report to your manager as soon as possible. Second step is keep these things away from the food. You know, these harmful chemicals can injure one person's inner system. If someone enjoys this food which contains the harmful chemicals, so I think it's very serious problems of the second step. The first step is you should know how to use this after you clean these containers. Every time you use these chemicals, you should calculate how much and how much usage and what kind of chemical cannot mix together. The fourth step is, if you have any questions, you should report to your managers as soon as possible. If you don't know how to use this, you can write us the notes on the feedback, and your boss will teach you how to use this on the weekends. So the last step is throw it away. If you find some chemical is leaking or smelling terrible,
I'm going to explain about transporting food to remote sites. It's also known as satellite kitchen. The purpose to do that is to prevent the contamination occurring to food and to also check that the foodborne illness is also not happening. There are 5 steps of food handling procedures. First is hot handling. In hot handling, the employees should know how to handle the food when the food is hot. In cold handling, the second one is cold handling. In cold handling, the employees should know how to handle the food when it is cold. The third step is rehandling. This is the very good and very important handling procedure that you should also you should know that how you can reheat it, when you can reheat it, what's the temperature, and how you do the process. The fourth one is cooling. The cooling, the employees should know that at what temperature the food is going to be refrigerated or it's in the freezer, and what temperature should be maintained in cooling procedure. The fifth step is transporting food. For transporting food, you should know about you should know all 4 handling procedures. You should know how the food is prepared, how the food is reheated, how the food is cooled down, and how the food is refrigerated in the process. So next step is to prepare food carriers before use. So clean all the surfaces which comes in the contact of food making process. So when you clean it, you have to properly clean and sanitize the food surface. So whatever the germs are there on the food surface should not get contacts in the food, and you cannot the person will not fall sick if you clean and sanitize the food surface properly. According to the manufacturer recommendation, pre-chill the food carrier. You should importantly pre-chill the food carrier, because when some germs are left on the table, when you pre-chill the food carrier, they all die. So that's the perfect and the safe way to prepare the food. So the next step is to store the food in the containers and how to transport it. So the first and the main thing is the container should be approved by food handling, and the container should check and they should have the food handling certificate. The second step is the container should be tightly packed, and there should not be a single hole that the air can pass in or pass out, and the food should be at the proper and the perfect temperature to carry. The third step is the food storage. The food storage should be easy and to clean or disposable. So the food storage should be easy and clean. So you should take that type of containers that the food is carried in that container should be easy to clean properly and sanitize it, or it should be disposable. So we are moving to the end of this process. Before the end of the process, I'll tell you one more thing. There's one more important step that's known as monitoring. Monitoring is the very good and very important step to check how the food is there and the food is safe to carry or not. So check the temperature. So the first thing is you should check the temperature of the food is carried. You should check the temperature of the container, that the temperature of the container is good to carry or not. Check the internal temperature of the food before and after carrying the food. You must check the internal temperature of the food, that how the food is hot or cold, or it's safe to carry or not. Referring to hot and cold hazardous food SOP. So the last step is record keeping. This is the most important step. So in future, if you don't have the records, that should not be nobody will know how the food is going bad or how the food is bad, right? So you should record keeping food. This is the last and the important step. So the record should be taken by food services employees. So the record should be kept before starting the process, and before ending it, each and every record should be taken, and each and every step should be written in the format. So the second is the receipt of food remote, and employees will record the receiving temperature of the food and should take a receiving log. So before taking food into your company or into your restaurant, you should take the receipt and you should check the food is perfectly done, or each and every food is with you and each and every food is perfectly done. You should also check the temperature of the food before carrying it. You should take the receipt of the food, and you should check the containers, that the containers are not leaking or anything before taking the food into your restaurant. The last step is all logs are kept for minimum 1 year. So for record keeping, each and every record of the food transportation is kept for at least 1 year. So you can check that the food is properly transported, the food is good or food is not. Thank you so much guys, we are done with this, and